Hello and welcome back to You Up for More. I'm Jordana Abraham.
And I'm Jared Freed. It is so good to be back here with you, Jordana. We are going over episodes 10 and 11 of Love is Blind, Season 7. If you haven't seen them, like, comment, and then come back to this video. Subscribe to this channel. We want to keep doing recaps of different seasons of different shows and movies, especially in the love sector, rom-coms and dating shows.
Reevaluating them from our You Up perspective.
Absolutely. So if you like this video, subscribe to the channel because that's the way we know if you want more of these.
Exactly.
So,
and if there's more people who watch, we're more likely to do more.
Right. That's what gets us going. That's the motivation.
Yes.
So what do we think? We are on episodes 10 and 11. We're going to go couple by couple. We'll just go over kind of their arc and what's going on in the couple's life. We'll start with Ashley A. and Tyler, the account manager and marketing director. What do we think of Tyler and Ashley A?
They didn't get much screen time this time. They seemed relatively normal compared to everyone else. They kind of had a follow-up conversation where she's like, all right, I've processed this. I'm like okay with it.
Well,
and
to
then
go back a second, sorry to interrupt, but to go back a second, Tyler has kids via sperm donation.
Right. That's what he's told her.
That's what he's told her to women that he knows to help them, a lesbian couple to have children.
Yeah.
So he is the sole sperm donor to this couple, and Ashley didn't know that information until they were, days away from getting married. So this is seemingly a lie by omission. We went over it a little bit on our last recap. She then says she's kind of over it. Let me just bring in the internet world. There has been a lot of talk from the women or one of the women that he's donated sperm to. It seems as though he is more involved with these kids in the social media world than he is letting on via this show.
Right. The show, though, if we're just living in the show's world, we have to take everything he says at face value because that's all that's revealed on the show.
But that's the hard part about this show is the minute these episodes get dropped, people out there, and we're not those type of people, are looking for little clues to how are these people awful.
Right.
And it does seem that Ashley, who seems wonderful and here for all the right reasons, and
she seems great.
She seems great. Her mom is great. Her dad was cool. Everything about her is just this bright and bubbly sunshine day.
Mm-hmm.
And this guy who has been nice and saying all the right things, but it seems like he just says all the right things, and then suddenly there's a huge thing I have a bunch of kids that I'm in touch with. You're like, well, this doesn't even match who we've been brought to meet.
Well, that kind of happens with a lot of these guys on Love is Blind, where you find out this information and where you're like, who the fuck was I just speaking to?
Right.
And this one, again, so the internet is saying there's a lot more going on in this story, that he's a lot more involved with these children than he is leading on it seems like he's lied. But
what would you need
that.
to know? What would you need if you're Ashley?
If there's a lot, Candace has told us that there is a lawsuit that is involved with him in custody of these kids. Okay,
so
and also that there's more of an affair than a sperm donation. And this is coming from the mom, one of the moms of the mom and the ex-wife.
It's messier than he is leading on the show. And we don't know when these things happen from taping to now.
Right.
But I guess what would be your line of questioning to a guy where you find out that he has children via sperm donation?
I would want to know exactly what she wanted to know. I thought she asked all the right questions in a very calm, non-judgmental, nice way. How did this come about? How much involvement do you see them? How much involvement do you have? Do they know who you are?
Right.
I would ask, what's their last name?
Money.
Is there child support payment?
Right.
I would want to know any material information that I would think would be very important for how it affects this person's life right now.
Right. And I would say, as a man watching him, he has said as little as he has to say.
Which is annoying.
Which is crazy.
Yes.
I am saying this as a man with no kids, no sperm donation on my resume. I'm I can't understand how he is not I can't believe he's not a whole episode.
Right.
Like, it's strange
Well,
to me.
maybe he's saying that so that he's not a whole episode.
Well, that's the thing.
He just keeps minimizing it.
And this is kind of another thing where you're like, we find out these things about the men. I do think on this show, there is a point where they become aware of the cameras when they think that they're out.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think when anyone on the show, male, female, anyone, when they know that they're out, they kind of turn into this, like, it is like a transformer. It's like a seek and destroy missile to get out of harm's way.
Asshole?
Colder, asshole.
Right.
Just like, there's like
They're not giving you anything.
nothing. And
because it's like the less they give, the less they can get in trouble for.
Right, because in the pods, it's all like, I believe that love is when a woman
The pods,
and a
they won't
man,
shut the fuck up.
They won't shut the fuck up. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And you see this in these arguments that we're going to get to, that they like, and you go, why did they become a different person? We talk about Steven. Like, why is he not saying anything? It's like, he sees no value in saying anything. Like, it is.
Right, which is annoying for the person who's wronged to just kind of be, because like you're, first of all, because then it becomes a bifold thing. First of all, you have to deal with betrayal.
Right.
Right. So that's its own thing for you to have to internally deal with.
Right.
And then you have to deal with like, now this person is kind of like, their personality is like kind of gone.
Right.
So it's like a doubly hurtful thing where it's like, I have to deal with this information and you're not giving me anything.
And
I also lost you in a way.
And the embarrassment.
Yes.
And I think the women on this show, and something that is very like teaching, is the amount of embarrassment that the women see at play even before the cameras, and how the men see no embarrassment whatsoever.
Right. Well, that was kind of, we talked about that in a recent You Up episode about a man who friended someone, who added someone on Instagram that he had made out with in college, and then liked every one of his pictures.
And never saw that as like, I'll have to deal with consequences.
Right.
The women seem to have consequences that I don't even understand.
Because we're thinking 5 steps ahead on everything.
Right. And you're thinking of like the other women, their thoughts, and my friends' thoughts, and who I revealed this to. It does feel like these men operate in a world where like let's go to the next couple, because I do think
that's all we really have on them.
Right. Garrett and Taylor, this is the scientists.
Finally they had a fight. Finally. They've been if you're here for love, you love them. Mm-hmm. If you're here for messy, you want to skip their scenes. Yeah. They do have a moment. So they meet the mom, and the dad is not involved. The dad wants no involvement. He doesn't want to be filmed.
Yes.
Fair.
They reference the dad a little bit. Fair. It does seem like he's like tough, based on the things that they say that he said to Garrett, but it seems like things are okay.
Yeah.
And then we get to this.
But before they meet him,
they go to a Great Gatsby party, which the Great Gatsby party, I love what Love is Blind does. This is the one thing I'll give production credit for, because
fun.
They put them in these like wild get-ups, and then they're like, okay, sprinkle in the X's. Right. And you're like, so now you have someone in a
face
flapper.
Your X, right, with your ridiculous curls and like bow tie.
Right. It's like someone's dressed in like steampunk.
Yeah. Garrett has to get like
glasses.
Garrett has to get like reamed out by Taylor while wearing a fucking like old man cap.
Right.
So he didn't look stupid enough.
Right. You got Nick Dorca in suspenders. Like, it's just like everyone looks ridiculous, and they're having the most serious and awful night of their life.
Yes.
And so Garrett gets a text, apparently, and
a DM.
And then now that we've given the production their flowers, I will also say the production seems to the most. I made a TikTok about this, but like,
it was amazing TikTok.
I mean, it is true.
Check it out if you don't follow him already.
Wizard of Oz, and I. Just the idea that every time production shows up, it's like they're 10 minutes late to a massive blowout fight.
How do they not catch any of this shit is what I don't understand.
It is so frustrating. And then you're like off finger painting with the couples. You're like, I don't give a shit about the finger painting.
And here's the thing, even if they miss the fight, let's say it happened in the bathroom of like the thing where they weren't allowed to film, or off hours, or 3 a.m., whatever it is.
Right.
Have a confessional.
Please.
Have someone explaining what happened. So we're not like trying to figure out from like context clues what happened here. Like our time is precious.
How about pull out your phone and read the DM, Garrett?
Yeah.
Why did it take so long? And this is what their fight ended up being about. Garrett gets a DM from an ex, and he isn't mean enough to the ex Which again brought me back to our discussions here of like this need for men to just be awful to everyone they've ever dated in their life.
I don't think it's that.
Well, I did think it was that.
Okay.
Because if an ex
we
wrote
still
to me,
didn't get to see the text that the response that he sent.
so he
Which I think
starts
is
with
a
"I
very-
just liked it,"
Yes.
and then
he lies.
He lies, and then they go to the party.
Is he stupid? I
and
don't know why he would do it.
Just have it. You've done it. You're there. I didn't understand why he didn't just say right away.
Or if you're gonna lie, keep up with your own lie. What are you, an idiot?
What do you mean?
Okay, so he says, "I just liked it" on
Yeah.
the street, right? And she's like mad at him, but she's like, "All right, I'm gonna work through it." And then at the table, he just changes his whole story. Like, if you're gonna lie,
Just keep it
just
going.
keep the lie. Like,
Yeah, he was
that's
more
why I it
honest
seemed-
with
for a quantum
Tyler.
physicist. You think he would just be like not stupid enough to just like change the story in a matter of hours?
It was kind of crazy that he.
Did you think she wouldn't notice?
Well, it kind of felt like he was going to be asked to like show us the text.
So
Like,
then,
and I think that's when he changed his story.
Things, yeah.
So then, but then he says that he wrote back to her, but didn't he write back like I'm in a relationship?
That's what he said. I mean, we haven't seen the text. I assume Taylor saw the text, and if he wrote that's what he said.
And she
didn't
not
get angry the third time, so I assume that he was telling the truth when he said what he actually wrote.
Right, but it did seem like her anger was like that you're being too nice to this ex.
I didn't think she was justified in how angry she got because I thought his response was totally, again, if it's the response that he said that he gave, which is that he said he was in a relationship, I think that's the nicest thing that you could do. I actually think not answering means is like almost like more of a red flag.
Damned if you do, damned if you don't.
I think that he did the exact right thing. He liked it, and then he said,
okay, let's play it out. Hey, Jordana, you questioned me.
Okay.
So I got a text from my ex, and we're engaged. And I wrote back.
I'm being who? Who am I?
You're the annoyed fiance.
Oh, okay. So I don't know how she found this out even.
Okay.
He told her, but not early enough. It happened that day.
Hey, Jordana, this morning, my ex texted me out of the blue. Isn't that crazy?
Oh, what did she say?
She said she was like asking if I'm back from this thing and if I wanted to go out.
What did you answer?
I just liked it. That's worse.
Okay. What?
His original lie is worse.
To just like it and not say anything? I would think it's fine.
I just liked it and moved on.
I think it's almost weird. It's like weird to do that, but I wouldn't say it's worse. I think if I would prefer an answer if I was like the ex-girlfriend.
Right.
That's like the most embarrassing thing almost because it's like I've read it like no response. Like that would be for me the most embarrassing response I could
as
get.
the ex.
Yes.
So hey, I wrote back that I'm engaged now, and it's pretty crazy that I'm engaged. Like he does have to acknowledge, like I went on a TV show and I got engaged.
Yeah.
It actually worked. It's pretty crazy. I'm happy. Wish you the best of luck.
I would say like
isn't that a normal message?
Great. Yeah. No, to me that's the best message you could send.
So then I don't understand the fight.
I think the fight becomes more about. I think in the beginning she's totally wrong when she gets mad. She's like, "You should have told me immediately." Which I mean, give someone like a second to process. It's not like he told. It's just funny.
You got engaged. You met a month ago.
It's just funny the Garrett Taylor fight about like not telling things versus the Tyler Ashley one where it's like she got engaged and he didn't tell her he has children, and she's like, "You didn't tell me about a text from your ex until like 3 hours later."
Right.
I'm like, give him a break. At first I thought she was being, and she acknowledges it's because she was cheated on and she has like a particular sensitivity about this. I think that she was definitely overreacting at first. I would be really annoyed when he lied. I think the lying thing was the much more annoying part.
Okay, and because he didn't have to.
Right.
So I
thought if he told the truth and she was still upset, I think it would be entirely on her.
And I think the thing that we forget, or I forget, is because the timeline does feel like they've been together a long time to me.
Right.
Like it does. If you take into account, they met a month ago. Right. And now they're engaged and getting married, and
like
the time
years.
is ticking down. Like
every day is like 7 years.
Right. And for us,
yeah.
But for them, when she's like, "Wait a minute, now you're lying that you wrote back.
Right.
You lied when you didn't have to." Yeah. She's almost going, "Well, am I dealing with a liar?" Like that is hard to know. It's not like 2 years of knowing someone's personality, and they're like, "I didn't know how to handle this, so I lied."
That's why she said it's a red flag, which I agree. It was a red flag.
Right.
I don't think it was a deal breaker. I don't think it. Again, I think if it was just the first fight they had on the street, she would be entirely wrong. I don't think he did anything wrong to like sit on something for a few hours before you tell the person. I think we can give him a break for that.
Right. I think it's the fact that he does lie.
Right.
is the problem with
And
someone
he's not
you just
even
met.
smart enough to follow through with it.
Right. Okay. So let's go to Tim and Alex.
But I agreed with her though when she did the follow up to that, where she's like, "You're kind of turning me into this person who now like needs to look at your phone, and I don't want to be that person."
Right.
Which
Well-
I would agree with, because I would want to see the text too after he said something different, and then I would be like annoyed that I'm now this fucking like naggy bitch who's making my boyfriend show me his messages because I don't
Right.
trust him.
And
So I would be mad at him for turning me into that person, which she was.
right. And I wouldn't agree with that as much as I do knowing this has been a month. Because
Right, there's no context.
there's
to
no
be like,
context.
You're not
Like,
this kind of person.
again, if it's 2 years of dating and you've never had this issue before, and then he's like, I don't know how to handle
Yeah.
it, I lied because this has never happened before, then you go,
Right.
you wouldn't be like, well, now I have to think of you as a liar. Like, you'd be like, no, I
Totally.
have 2 years of experience with you.
And I think about that in my own relationship. Like, if this happened a month or two into dating Mike,
Mhm.
I would be like, well, can I see the message? Now I'd be like, all right, yeah, I know. I wouldn't.
These things happen.
Yeah, sure. Like,
And
that sounds
you-
fine.
Right. You handle it a different way.
Yeah.
In
Because I have more context for, like, who he is.
right.
My sense of if he's a cheater, my sense of
Right. How
if
he
he's
acts.
a liar. Right.
Past performance does not indicate future results, but that's what we got to go by.
Well, of course,
It's
yeah,
like stocks,
It's
like-
yeah, it's a war. It's something to put in the file.
Totally. So we go to Tim and Alex. Tim, the web content strategist, and Alex, the producer.
This is one where I think we're gonna butt heads,
Okay.
because we texted about this one before and we had very different takes on it.
So Tim, last episode is Tim and Alex don't seem to be a good match to me.
Okay, I would agree with that.
They seem to be two people that are kind of hard-headed, that are not willing to like back off from where they stand, and the arguments won't be productive. Is
Okay.
kind of what I vibe from them. And then he goes and
I
meets
do
the
think
dad.
that he is more hard-headed than she is. I think
Okay.
because he has initiated now several fights with her, and she is usually like trying to work them out. So I do think he is more hard-headed than her.
So he goes to their house with the mom and the dad who has MS, I think.
This was last.
This is
yeah,
last
yeah,
episode. But
right,
like to
yeah,
recap,
yeah.
he went to their house and made this big, barbecue, and then reads him a letter where he's like, I want to be with your daughter. And he breaks
yes.
this dad who seems unbreakable.
I literally shed a tear.
It was
and
a beautiful
I'm not
letter.
like this kind of person necessarily.
Right.
But like I was actually quite moved by it.
Tim went above and beyond, seemingly,
Yes.
in his attempt to impress her family, especially her dad, who she said was going to be an issue, and they're kind of like lying.
Right.
Like they
about
weren't gonna,
if they were engaged or not.
right.
Yeah.
She was like, I need the dad to approve and feel part of it. So he went along with this whole thing for her.
Mhm.
And then we open with Tim's family coming up from Georgia, I believe,
Okay.
to have a day and meet Alex. And then they show them have this day, and it seems
like it went
to
well.
go well.
Yeah.
And then we come back to a Tim and Alex fight,
Yes. Another fight initiated by Tim.
where how does he initiate it?
He was saying that like he starts the fight and says that the fact that his parents came up and as soon as the cameras were off, she took an hour-long nap. He
Mm.
thought that was disrespectful to his parents who had come all the way up to see her.
I don't, and he's basically saying,
and-
and then his position is that someone who would do that is not for me. I'm out.
No, I don't even think he says it's not for me. I mean, maybe that's part of it, but he says is like disrespectful.
I think
what- I think he put it-
would agree 150%.
I
Given the specifics, okay? And I know you
don't worry,
disagree.
Candace, I don't agree. Don't worry, Candace, I don't agree.
Your parents come in to meet you from hours away.
Sure.
So that means there is a fixed amount of time for them to be in town. This isn't they live next door and you got to be on at all hours of the day. This is, we know they are here from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. If my partner, we hang out, we get breakfast in the morning, they go home, they change, they come back. If my parents are around the house to meet them during this day, and my partner goes to take a nap on the first meeting, I am going to be turned off by that decision.
Okay. Turned off. Fine. Okay. Fine. I don't agree that it's a big deal. I can see myself doing that. I think you spent, like she said, she spent 4 hours just talking to his parents about how fucking in love she is with him.
Okay.
As the contract stipulates, she spent all this time with them. She went through the whole thing. She needs a little break. Okay, she needs a little break. She gets tired. So she's a better version of herself probably for the second part of the day. I think to break, and he is not even willing to discuss it. And I think the way that she handled the fight, where she says to him, like, I didn't know that was going to bother you, right? I don't think it's so obvious that it would bother someone it's not like she said, you have to come with me to take the nap. We're both leaving. Like, spend an hour alone with your parents while I regroup on my own because I've had a long day of filming. And the fact that he never even said anything in that moment, he just stewed on it for days or weeks or however long this was, and then decided that was worthy of a breakup without even telling her. It's not like, and she said that, like, if you had told me, how would I know that you want that? You didn't tell me that. To me, this is normal. I think, to me personally, as myself, Jordana, I don't think that's a big deal. I could see myself doing that. And then for someone to just break up with me without even giving me a chance to say, I prefer you. When she went to go take the nap, if he said, I really prefer you not, I think it's kind of disrespectful. It would bother me. Like, if he did that and then she still went to take the nap, maybe, fine. That's not what happened. He just tested her, watched her, looking for a reason to break up with her so he would feel like a good guy because maybe he doesn't actually like her, and then used that against her as the reason and didn't give her any chance to work with him.
Based on the telling of that interaction, fine. We don't know what happened.
A turn off is different than I'm ending the relationship.
I can understand from Tim's perspective, and he says it, someone who would do that is not for me. Like, someone who is a napper when
crazy.
The parents are in town.
It's too picky. You're picky.
I'm with Tim, where I think this is the whole personality. This is the life I'm signing up for.
That's crazy.
I don't think so. If my parents came in for 14 hours, if my significant other's parents came in for 14
say something that day.
But I would say I am on, like my girlfriend says to me, my wife, my fiance, Jared, parents are here in New York City for the weekend. I need you at the call.
He didn't say that to her.
I don't know. I'm saying we don't know.
No, we do know that he didn't say anything the day of, that she went to, he didn't say anything until after.
Until after,
right?
That is fair to think that he's like set a booby trap to get it so he can end this without being the bad guy.
To me, especially after he read that fucking letter, and she said this, and I totally agreed with her. I think he's a piece of shit. And the reason I think he's a piece of shit is because he sat her dad with MS down and said, thank you so much for raising this amazing, beautiful daughter. I really want her to be part of my family. I want her to be all these things. To say that to someone's father, and then 2 days later, to not even give her a chance to rectify it, you're an asshole. Like, that meant a lot to her.
Is there
he's not even trying to work on it.
Is there any thought that in his mind he's like, I did all this stuff to make sure that your dad, who you said was going to be difficult about this, wouldn't be difficult? I made sure that, like,
just to make me tell him that it's off 2 days later. She doesn't think about the conversation she now has to have with him.
But she doesn't think of, like, the work he did to impress her family.
Words are so easy. Why is that so much work?
Well, the grilling, the words, the letter, it is work. Like, you and I both said the same thing. You better get married to this woman after reading this letter.
So you don't think it's fucked up to do that?
But I think that takes an incredible. I think it's like pretty bad. But I also think it's similarly bad to not be like, when your parents are here, I'm going to give you the same amount of energy that you gave mine. And I think that's where he's coming from. And I think when you say, I don't like the testing of it. Like, listen, if it's like,
say it in the moment.
If in the moment he had gone to him and like, hey, can you just get to the end with these people? Like,
or
I'm
just
looking for you to make an effort here.
Or be more serious than that, because it's clearly very serious to him.
Right.
Say, when you, like, I actually, like, find it so disrespectful. It's like the idea of, like, you really cannot go take a nap right now. It will, like, really, this is, like, really important to me, and it's going to really, really bother me if you go do this. Give her a fucking chance. And this is exactly what I say as it relates to everything else. Men, when they want to break up with you, they're just done. They just secretly think of all the ways that you're not adding up, and then they just break up with you. Absolutely no chance for no working it out, no chance for reconciliation. And then you see Hannah on the other end of it. I know we'll get to her, but on the other end, the side you see the way women break up with people. Please change, please change, please change, please change. No change. Finally, I'm out.
Well, I would say the way I thought it happened with Tim was in the moment he was like, whatever, and then his parents said something after.
That also makes him piece of shit.
Well, to me, and then the parents go, hey, we were a little hurt that like she just like went away. And the cameras go away, then all of a sudden you're not like the person you were on camera.
Work has ended.
Work has ended. But that's the thing. Like, this is my family. This is someone I want to like have a relationship with.
She didn't go away for the rest. She took an hour-long nap. Sometimes people get tired.
The telling of the nap, I do need to know. To me, you have a finite amount of time with the parents.
She didn't even try to defend herself with the nap. She was like, "It's total." She said, "Like it's totally fine if that's a."
But that's again.
You should have said something.
But you're right. As a guy, I'm like, okay, does this like make? Do these two things logically go together? And I think Tim is looking at this as like, that's who you are. No, you don't care.
He's looking at it like a man,
right?
Where it's like, where it's like we shouldn't have to work through anything. We should both be perfect match with each other, or else fuck this whole thing.
This is one thing that I'm like, we have two different mentalities on.
You and I?
No, I'm saying that I would see if someone goes to a nap.
Yeah.
In the middle of my parents being in for the day, I'd be like, I don't know if that's not something I can change of them.
Yes, it is. Yeah, this is on him. This is exactly like what you were upset about with the Meet the Parents thing, right? Where you were like, she should be waking him up early.
Right.
In that scenario, that would be like Pam in Meet the Parents breaking up with Ben Stiller for not getting up early. It's like, no, wake me up. Tell me you want me to get up early.
Sure.
Don't let your family rip me apart for something I don't even know that they care about. And to just, I don't know, I just found it was so indicative of how like a man would do things. And I thought it was so unfair, especially after that speech.
I also don't think that this fight lives on its own. I think that he's putting together the math of how all their other arguments have come to be. And that's someone that, like, to me, he feels like a kind of a self-serious Navy guy.
Sure.
And she's kind of like messy room woman.
Okay.
You know, and like I just take a nap when the parents
so
are.
they're not a match. But
I
he's
think
villainizing her.
Right. And I think that's the unfair thing to villainize her. But based on how the story's being told, it's like, oh, well, there's the nap. You lose a life. You know, it's like you messed
3
up.
strikes and you're out.
Right. That was the strike. You didn't even know the strikes you were taking.
I don't think he's gonna meet anyone though, because like to me, when you're saying to me, the nap thing that's who she is. She could never be anyone different. Like how little do you think of any human's capacity to change that you're like, because she napped with my parents, she's gonna always do that even if you didn't even give her a chance to show that she could be different.
Sure. If you didn't go to her room and be like, hey, now's not the time, now's not nap time,
right?
Then it is unfair of him to just be like, and agreed. It seems like he's looking for a
reason to end it, right?
And how do I get and we see this with the end of a lot of these Love is Blind relationships.
Yeah.
Cold Tim looking at her going, you struck out, bitch. Time to go.
Yeah, I thought he was the worst.
Okay.
I was mad at him. I was mad at myself for being so emotional about the MS speech.
Right.
He really let me down.
Speaking of being let down, Nick, Dorka, and Hannah.
Yes.
Let's talk about these two monsters.
The worst.
They go for engagement photos, and
who are the engagement photos for?
They look. No one has ever looked more. We had a kid in high school, and now we're getting married later after the kid has grown up. Than Nick and Hannah.
I just don't understand. They have like the least sexual chemistry to me of anyone I've ever seen. I mean, any couple I've ever seen in any situation.
It's a rock and a hard place because she's giving him nothing. He's like still trying to like sweet talk her in a way. So it almost feels like we should be further than this kind of back and forth that they're having.
My question is, why do you think he keeps taking it?
I didn't understand it. Yeah,
She just keeps kind of ripping into him, and I think she keeps doing it because he like doesn't. He's okay. This happens a lot. This is kind of a This is how you get a toxic relationship.
Right. When they break up finally, there is this thought that I'm like, did they both come here to be on TV?
Right. Why else
Because-
would they have taken it this far?
Right, because I actually just didn't buy it from either of them. I think Nick is like classic loser. Like he's
He
like
knew he would be cast as classic
well, that's
loser.
the thing. He's living in his parents'
Right.
basement.
He's like a parody of someone who's like doesn't have their shit together.
and the parents are all about it. They're like sweet and don't even think.
He's Will Ferrell in Wedding Crashers.
Right, the mom is
Right.
bringing down the
Meatloaf, yeah,
meatloaf,
yeah.
and he doesn't see anything wrong with it. And to me, it is interesting to me because what ends up happening is Nick and Hannah go to the Gatsby party, and Hannah's quote unquote best friend. Lesson to the women out there:
Best
stop
friend?
calling everyone your best friend.
You
This
know
is
him
going
for
to get
less
you in
than a
trouble.
month.
Right? Like I best friend in the world. She said.
Yeah, she needs. I agree that diminished her credibility.
Totally. Like it made her look young. It made her look like a baby.
You've known someone for like 10 minutes.
Right.
Yeah.
And no, but we met in the pods with no phones. Get out of here. This
Just say my
woman-
friend.
Also,
Fine.
yeah, it's a friend.
Yeah.
We like each other. And she happened to be someone that Nick had hit it off with early, and then she went away.
Mhm.
And before they go to the Gatsby party, Nick is like, I would love to talk to, what's her name? Katie. I'd love to talk to Katie to see what happened. And I don't think that's like a good thing.
I don't know why he would mention that to her.
It was a
that
weird
he
mention.
Was thinking it.
And I do think Nick, if I'm to like, I'm going to start with Nick is not a great catch. And I do think he is playing a game. I do think he is like, and I think he is an immature guy who's good at flirting and bad at everything else. So I think he, like, I think he was looking to get under Hannah's skin in the only way he knew how, which is to be like this other
Make her a
cute-
little jealous.
a little
Because he can
jealous.
tell that she's not that into him.
and not that secure.
And you know what? It kind of worked.
It worked.
Yeah.
It totally worked. He goes and talks with her. Katie, not exactly acting like a friend.
Right.
Would you,
Kept
I mean,
tips, he was telling everyone how hot he is.
right, and he's so hot. And
That's right.
Katie, I'm like, Katie, you're hot. What are you talking about?
Right.
Why do you like Nick Dorka?
I agree.
It was all bizarre.
Didn't make any sense.
It made no sense that she would so openly flaunt how much she thought he was cute. Now
if they were friends, right? They also didn't speak once.
it was bizarre. And then Hannah, so now I hope people know that I don't think Nick Dorka is a catch.
Okay. It's for the record.
For the record.
Also
Hannah
doesn't seem that bright, but fine.
No, he seems dumb. Nothing is being done for JMU as a school. Whatever bullshit kicking college you went to. Hannah goes around the party, and it was to me. I would love to hear what you think as I go on and on. It feels like she's in this young woman's world of, I know I will have support talking shit about this guy no matter what. She's in that Gen Z, like, she's going around telling people that he won't go down on her, which is like, you are going to get all the support from every woman in the world that this guy's awful and you're great and every guy should be licking pussy at every hour of the day. I agree. I like to lick pussy too. Okay? But I just don't think it's classy or nice
Oh, of course
to
it's not
go around a
classy. It's very
party
tacky.
and talk about.
Of course, that was very mean. I saw that and I was like, this is not nice. I don't know if she was drunk or if she meant to do it. I don't think she's doing it for the reason that you think she is, though.
She's on camera, though.
I know.
mean, like,
I think she's drunk, and I think that she's what a lot of women do is I think that she doesn't like this guy, right? She clearly she doesn't like him, but
doesn't like her fiance.
Yes.
So, like, let's also admit
Yes.
she is engaged to this
yes,
person.
she doesn't like him.
And she knows she's on TV, and she's going around this party telling everyone
It's
she
not
can.
nice. I thought it was a classless move, mean move.
Classless. And listen,
And
she's
he's horrible
going
at
to
sex.
He's horrible at sex. He won't go down on me. He's intimidated, but she is saying all the buzzy shit.
Right, the very very mean shit. I will.
But it's
totally
also
agree
like
with that.
hacky. Like it's also like it's tropey. Like
I
the
don't
guy
think she
who
looks
won't.
good though. I think she looks like an asshole.
That's what the whole time I'm going. I hope everyone. I like in the
I think
way you didn't like
everyone-
Tim.
yeah.
I was like despising her.
Right.
And go on. I'm sorry.
No, I totally agree with you. I think that was a really low moment for her. I think she looked like a horrible person. I think that was a really mean thing to do to anyone, especially like if you're especially someone who says they don't want to talk about their sexual life on
Right.
camera to then say that behind their back. I don't think she did it for the reason you think she did. I think one, she's a little drunk. clearly at the end of the night, they're both like wasted when you
Mhm.
see them like having that fight back at the apartment.
Right.
But I think too, I do think women tend to, I think she knows she doesn't like this guy, but just like men don't like to throw away leftovers, neither do women. She's like, can I figure out a way to make this work? Like, I think she actually is kind of looking for advice or looking to vent. I think women just like talking about their relationships
Mhm.
more, and she's just trying to like analyze it with someone that she knows that understands the situation to sort of just talk about it and maybe get some feedback. I think it was a totally wrong move. I don't think her intentions were as malicious as
Well,
as you do.
they become more malicious when you bring in the friends, and now they have this big friend hangout,
hmm
and it's like these 4 women just like, you can't
Making him feel like a loser.
make
Yeah.
him feel like a loser. And he does take it, and I'm like, this is where I'm like, maybe he knows he's out, and he doesn't know, he's not smart enough to just be like, hey, this isn't working.
Right, or he
Like,
wants her to do it.
and he wants her to, right. And I think this is when you become like just like a statue,
hmm
because Nick kind of does that. And like, even the things they're like, you can't change. They're like, you can't change. Like, you know, you don't take your cat out. You don't take the dog. You can't take the dog out. And I'm like, can you guys just like get off? Like, you don't.
Right,
Like,
but he
like,
also is like taking it. That's what I'm saying.
I know. And it's like, but I'm like, don't the friends, like, I don't know. It just felt like, to me, in the world of punch up, punch down, everyone's going to be like, football player who lives with his parents, like, you know, punching up at this patriarchy loser. And it's
Mhm.
like,
I didn't see him that way.
I considered him a victim in this scenario.
Oh, totally.
And I was like, what, again, I don't think he's a catch, but
I think she's the toxic one
it was
because
so,
she couldn't say this guy's a loser. I'm not interested in him, so just break up with him. She has to kind of make it into a toxic thing by
she has
just
to make
keep
him,
berating him until he
right,
leaves.
and make him a villain.
Yeah.
And like, and now you see her on social media, like, you know, doing like sassy lip syncs on TikTok and stuff. And I'm like, I can't believe I like, in the way you probably want Tim to go, I'm wrong,
Right.
and here's the reason I did these things. I really want her to be like,
I think she is
I'm-
wrong. I agree with you.
I don't think she sees it. Like, even when so then they go to the breakup,
hmm
and he doesn't go to the tux fitting. If we're gonna go over the tux fitting at all, or the dress fitting,
Yeah.
it is so bizarre. I hate it.
I don't think men are bringing like their whole friend group
No.
to their.
Well, this is the
dress
part
fitting.
where you see how unimportant, like, the wedding stuff, and we're going to get to Ramses and Marissa, but you can see that, like, the idea, like, no man is brought up
dreaming
of their wedding
day.
day.
Yeah.
And I think that's, like, the hardest part of that Love is Blind. It's not fair to the women because,
It takes away all of the stuff. Yeah.
well, also, they're now tasked with, like, and have your dream wedding day
in a week.
In a week.
Yeah.
And these guys are like, and you can see, like,
Well, the men are thinking about the fact that they're going to be trapped, and the women are thinking about how do I make this dream event come to life?
right, how do I not get embarrassed by my, you know, thrown together wedding?
Yeah, and nowhere is that more evident than the Ramses Marissa thing when they have
Right.
that fight on the boat.
So
It wasn't really a fight even. She's not really a fighter. I don't think. She's not trying to fight with him.
she really has made a turnaround to be
Super
very
likable.
likable.
Yeah.
And I feel, you know, even her mom at the dress fitting, her mom still is trying her best while also being awful.
Yeah.
Like, as good as she could be,
She's still really
she
mean to
still
her.
stunk.
Yeah.
Like, and you see Ashley with her mom and like how sweet it is and nice. And you kind of see the relationship that what's her name? Taylor has with her mom,
Right.
where the mom was like, I made the costumes, and like, this is like
She's making it all about her.
right. And,
Yeah. Or when you were 7, you were doing like it's like why do you think I want the dress that I would want when I'm 7 years old?
right. It is. The
Yeah.
dynamics were very deep there.
Yeah.
And then the men dynamics are like, this is my friend.
All right, I met him last week.
Yeah, we got fucked up a couple weeks ago.
I told him there would be like an open bar here.
Right.
So.
And like the Lachey's
Ugh.
dropping from Elysium to Judge. And Nick is like, what up, bros? Like, it's for Nick, it's fine because it doesn't matter to these men. Vanessa, just everything about her has judgment.
No charm. It's very annoying.
Right.
Yeah.
And she's like, I mean, even when she says, is love blind? You're like,
right. If I
are
were there,
you speaking to us?
if I were there, I would be like, can you shut the fuck up?
Right. What are you?
Why are you here?
She actually cheapens because, especially for the women, where it feels like there's like these like
Real emotions at play.
right and real like this matters.
Yeah.
To all these women, the dress, the moment, and Vanessa Lachey is having her moment. Is love blind?
It's like just take your check and get out of here.
Right.
Right.
So okay, Marissa and Ramses.
Okay, so they start off with a fight about her not putting out enough.
Okay.
Not that I'm biased or anything.
Liberal.
But
Liberal leader Ramses
yes.
is like, when am I gonna get my dick sucked?
Well, he's like, when we're married, it better not be like this with you not fucking me every single day, multiple times a day.
Pleasure is really important to this guy.
I mean, he was. I think he's the villain, personally.
More and more every day,
Yes.
and he's gonna have. I mean, like people. He is the most polarizing figure that
People
I've
love him or
seen.
hate him. Yeah.
There's no in between, and I guess I'm the only in between on him. Like I don't think he's like. I just don't think he's
Well, here's the
as
thing.
great as he thinks he is.
I did think their fight about the amount of sex was an interesting one that a lot of couples have.
Okay.
About differing sexual needs.
Mhm.
And he's basically, I could understand, again, because he does sound like a villain when he's like, there's not as much physical bless you.
Thank you.
Well, he does sound like a villain when he's like, there's not as much physical intimacy as I am looking for, like in my long-term forever marriage.
Mhm.
And I'm a little worried about that. I think that concern does make him seem like a villain, but I do think it's a valid concern.
Right. Differing sex drives. Agreed.
Right.
But then she brings up a fabulous point of like, I'm going to be holding a baby.
Right.
know,
There
like-
might be long stretches of time where I'm
Right.
not that sexual.
And are we like, and I would understand from her end where it's like, is what we have connection mentally not enough to sustain you
Right.
for when we do get to the physical? Like that was kind of
Yeah,
seeming
where
to her
every
question.
time that I'm like not feeling sexual or I'm sick or something or I have this disease that I forgot what she has periods that drain her or something like that.
Mhm.
I'm gonna have to be worried about you either cheating on me seemingly or
Mhm.
or leaving me.
Right. And they have this
I
conversation.
thought it was an interesting conversation. I didn't think either
Right.
of them was wrong in it as much as I'm making fun of him for like being that guy.
Well, it just doesn't help. We can't just look at this conversation on its own. It doesn't help that he's like, I got to get my pleasure. I don't like a condom. Like it kind of
Right.
cheapens every
This whole
conversation
argument. Yeah.
about sex because you're like, okay, dude.
It's
like,
all about his needs.
right. And
Um,
when you were, where again the stuff about the army and stuff, like when do you acquiesce to your relationship? When
Right.
do you?
When are you being more flexible?
Right.
Right.
And it doesn't seem he has any flexibility.
Right. And he's not like screaming at her, but
No.
I did think like what he was bringing up was an okay thing to discuss about like the different sexual energies in a relationship. And I understand it's very important for men if they're going to get married and they're very sexual to be like, I do want to make sure before I get married that we are sort of on the same page sexually.
And they're getting married. The time is ticking down. Like,
Right.
and he's basically
He's
saying
nervous. Yeah.
he's not wrong.
Right.
Like, hey, we got to like hash this stuff out.
Yeah, and he's doing it in a nice way. I'm not
Right.
saying he's like doing it, but it does. I do think like he needs to be more open to what she's saying because what she was saying was totally valid.
Right. And then they have this like the end of the episode is like they're having a fight about something we don't know what
Again,
it's about.
yes.
Again, thank you producers for doing nothing. And there's like, will they, won't they?
Yeah, I'm interested to see what happens there. I'm really liking Marissa. Like the more I see of her, I do agree she was much more annoying in the beginning, and now
She was like
she's,
flighty in the beginning, but
well, now she's a real person.
right. And also we now see like where she comes from. I'm sure like flightiness is like a response to her mom being so hard and like I got to be someone
Yeah.
who cheers up the room and that
It was
kind of
cute the way that when she met the other guy. What's his name?
Oh,
Bowden. When she met
Bowden.
Bowden, and they were like really friendly, and then she felt like more affirmed in her choice though.
right.
I thought they were gonna start some drama there, but it was really
They tried to.
yeah
They did.
didn't work.
Yeah. So yeah, we're left with will they, won't they? We lose Nick Dorka and Hannah.
And I do agree with you. Going back to them really quickly, is that they were both kind of felt like they were staying in it to get more screen time, because neither of them really work.
Right,
So-
and then at the end where she's like, "Do you have anything to say?" It just felt like he was like, "I'm just gonna like freeze up."
and hopefully just break
Give
in the
nothing.
followers.
Right,
Yeah.
and just also like
Minimize the damage.
Minimize the damage.
Yeah.
I think that was like it is interesting to see the damage control done in two different ways.
Yeah.
Her damage control being like, you do this, you do that, you do this, you do that, you won't change, you won't do this, and then him going,
right.
Just that's it.
I mean, it's a safer way to play it, but it's still very annoying as the woman. What are your predictions, really quick? Who do you think gets married?
I think we're gonna get 2 out of this: Garrett and Taylor, and Ashley and Tyler. And I think because I think Tyler, we are getting a lot of outside information that's coming now.
Right. I don't think they know it at the time of the weddings.
Right. And it seems as though Tyler is kind of going along.
He's doing a lot of press too, so I feel like he's doing the press of like a man who's decided to get married.
Right. Okay. Who do you got?
I would agree with those two. Yeah.
Because the rest, Ramses, I think this guy is way more free loving.
Yeah.
Then he's, again, they go into conservative mode as they get closer to a breakup.
I agree. I think they're not going to make it. So we'll see, though.
Listen, we love recapping these shows. If you like this, subscribe to the channel, like, comment, let us know what you thought. Agree, disagree. We want to hear it all. This is You Up For More. We'll be back next with the finales, right?
Yeah, we'll be back with the weddings.
Boom.
The You Up podcast is produced by Belle Roman and Candace Maniga. Edited by Belle Roman. Social media by Candace Maniga. Guest booking by Ali Friedlander. VP of podcast is Chris Allen. And be sure to follow You Up at you.up.podcast.